So hello and welcome to another episode of TopTenz. I'm your host, Karl Smallwood, and today we're talking about 10 of the most unusual modes of transport money can buy. And for anyone curious about my get-up, this isn't a Christmas video, it's just very cold in the UK, and this is the only warm piece of clothing I've got on. So try and ignore how Christmassy I look and just concentrate on the cool facts. And as a reminder, like all videos here at TopTenz, this one is based on an original script submitted to us by a member of our writing team, that being a Mr. Ed Hatchett. Links to their socials can be found below, but let's get to it. We've scoured the internet for 10 of the most unusual modes of travel that money can buy, either now or in the not too distant future, according to the people who made them. And we've ranked them all in order of price, starting with number 10, the hoverboard. While it's clear by now that the kind of future envisioned in Back to the Future when they showed us 2015 must have been an alternate timeline, hoverboards are actually possible in our world. In fact, it was in 2015, like our 2015, that Lexus advertised the Slide, a bamboo and carbon fiber floating skateboard, in a 37-second viral teaser video. We saw a real-life hoverboard hovering inches above the ground. So okay, that was only a prototype concept, but the technology does exist and has existed for quite a while. Maglev trains, for example, have depended upon it for more than 100 years. The trick is a magnetic surface. A Kickstarter campaign in 2014 for the Hendo hoverboard also used magnets to levitate, but the Lexus Slide has a superconductor and can hover on magnets in concrete. And while we don't have magnet in concrete as standard, you could theoretically build your own hoverboard skate park. How much it'll set you back isn't really clear, but it's probably the least of all the things covered on this list. And the only real downside to the hoverboard made by Lexus is that it weighs 11 kilos and you need to top it up with liquid nitrogen every 10 minutes. On the other hand, that liquid nitrogen does emit some cool looking vapors from the board, allowing you to look super rad. Number 9, the Tron light cycle. Being virtual reality, the Tron light cycle has been possible for a long time. You just have to make it on a computer, and there it is. But only recently has it been rendered in the meat space. Well, kind of. So don't expect to leave any light walls like a real life game of Snake that people can just like crash into, or to do the Akira slide outside your crusher's house. But you will be the envy of every Tron fan you pass. Built by Parker Brothers Concepts, this is a spectacularly faithful carbon fiber and fiberglass replica with dual hubless wheels and plenty of lights. There's even a Tron helmet included in the $35,000 to $55,000 price tag, though there is no spandex jumpsuit or Daft Punk soundtrack as you roll. Like Tron itself, the light cycle has spawned 2 generations, the first of which only 5 were made, all in different colours because how rad is that, was gas powered, while the second is all electric. Number 8, the hoverbike. Channeling Star Wars, the Aero X hoverbike crosses pretty much any terrain without slowing down, although 45 miles per hour doesn't leave much room to slow down to. Powered by 2 horizontal propellers, it really is just a hovercraft the size of a car, but looks and feels like a bike. It also reaches heights of up to 20 feet. The company behind it, the Los Angeles-based Aerofx, calls it a crossover vehicle. And no doubt every Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom player who min-maxed the ever-loving out of their builds and just made the 2 fans connected together hoverbike thing is salivating at the thought of owning their own. As for who might want or indeed need one, the $85,000 price tag might make some people balk, but the company has suggested ranchers and emergency services as well as the Border Patrol. And let's face it, it's going to be a toy for rich people. Because what are the odds of just someone throwing a stick at this thing as it goes past and just like that person just eating the most? Hopefully in a YouTube video. Although there's an emphasis on minimizing the noise that the bike makes, emissions are still a problem. So to explain, to avoid propeller blades seizing, Aerofx installed a rotary engine instead of a conventional piston one. But as the car manufacturer Mazda has learned the hard way, rotary engines are hard to make clean and indeed efficient. Number 7. The Jetpack. Although still in their infancy, jetpacks and indeed jet suits and jet belts are very much here and exist in our world. It's just that you can't afford one. Like, I can't afford one. None of us can afford one. So, for example, in 2015, the CEO of Jetpack Aviation zipped around the Statue of Liberty with a jetpack capable of reaching 10,000 feet at a speed of 55 knots. The company's newer model, the JB10, almost doubles that ceiling and speed, but many other companies are at it as well. with some offering full customization, such as colour and hopefully like flames down the side. Wearable jets are also being tested by the military and emergency services. No pilot's license required, which I can't ever see being a bad thing of letting some jackass with a jet engine strapped to their back fly around an urban environment. Prices, for anyone curious, are in the hundreds of thousands at this point, with the Mexico-based TAM, for example, selling a rocket belt for $250,000, while the UK-based Gravity Industries has an Iron Man-style jet suit for £380,000, roughly $500,000. So don't get too envious though, because this is one of those rare occasions where the rich are serving as guinea pigs for the rest of us, trialing a piece of technology that's still pretty deadly in the wrong hands. And let's face it, rich people's hands are almost always going to be the wrong hands. It's easy to forget what a jetpack is, even though the name kind of tells you all you need to know. It's a jet engine strapped to your back, like a backpack. There's plenty of room for things to go wrong, which is why pilots still have to wear tethers. Flight time is also disappointing, usually clocking in a few seconds on minutes at most. Number 6, the flying car. There's a reason flying cars haven't taken off. Pun intended. Unfortunately, the compromise involved in merging roadworthiness and airworthiness. Roadworthiness and airworthiness, resulting barely accomplishing either, and they typically cost more than a plane and a car combined. And let's face it, would you rather a flying car or a Ferrari and a plane? Well, that doesn't mean you can't buy one, because they do exist. So, for example, in 2023, the FAA approved the Aleph Aeronautics Model A for testing. Although it's just the latest in a decades-long tradition of flops mostly, it is, say the makers, the first flying vehicle to actually drive like a car. A very slow car, that is, with a top speed of just 25 miles per hour, but on the plus side, it does have vertical takeoff. It's also 100% electric with a range of 110 miles by air and 200 miles by road. The idea is just to fly whenever speed is required. Cool. I guess it'd be good to just drop the kids off in. Aleph expects to start selling this flying car by 2025 for $300,000 a piece. And if you want one, you can get on the waiting list right now by paying $150. Or you can get on the priority list by paying $1,500. And let's be honest, that's worth it to be the first person to crash one of these things into a McDonald's. Number 6, the amphibious limo. Cars that can drive on water and land seem pretty pointless, right? Especially when they compromise on speed. But for the rich, they solve an age-old problem: getting to and from your big old yacht in style. Usually this involves climbing into a dinghy or a speedboat and climbing back out on the shore, you know, like a peasant. With an amphibious vehicle though, transitioning from sea to land will be seamless, and more importantly, cool as f***. Not surprising then that most amphibious cars are designed with the wealthy in mind. For example, the new Voyage's $2 million Limousine Tender 33 is a case in point. 33 feet long, hence the name, it's luxuriously furnished in that horrible corporate way the rich think looks nice, with seating for 12, state-of-the-art air conditioning, a retracting roof, which seems like it goes underwater. Retractable roof as standard, sir. I don't want that. And gull-wing entry. It also has a toilet, because I guess you can't just open the window if you want to do that. And for anyone curious about the speed, you can travel up to 30 knots on the water and 85 miles per hour on the land. As New Voyage would later put it, it's perfect for making an entrance, whether you're arriving for a film premiere in Cannes or a dinner reservation at Le Beurre. Yeah, or an island full of, you know, sex-trafficked teenagers, which is probably what this thing's going to be used for. And I would just like to say shout outs to author Ed Hatchett for the amount of times they just put in an Epstein Island joke into this video. Number 4, a personal blimp. For 20 years, Lockheed Martin was secretly building an airship, a helium-filled blimp capable of floating for 1,400 nautical miles at a max speed of 60 knots. Thanks to its hovercraft-like air cushion landing system, or ACLS, it can land on a variety of surfaces, including the water. You don't even need to use mooring ropes to keep it in place. It's held in place by a vacuum. And shout outs to, like, you know, people for trying to still make airships a thing, when most people's immediate thought when it comes to airships is the Hindenburg. Anyway, unfortunately for the war profiteer, nobody was really interested and they gave up trying to sell it. But airships are probably the future. Another company, Hybrid Air Vehicles, or HAV, already has plenty of buyers for its Airlander 10, priced at a cool $50 million. While admittedly, yeah, it's not the fastest way to get around with a cruising speed of 80 miles per hour, they are much greener than a jet, and for some, the slower pace may be the appeal. In any case, HAV conceives of the Airlander as a fast-flying super yacht, not a slow, bulky aircraft, and there's plenty of space on board for things like lounges, suites, officers' spas, sushi counters, and cargo holds, making it ideal for long-distance cruisers, camp-hopping safaris, trips to the North Pole, and of course, sex parties on illegal islands. Number 3. A private train. Oh, I've seen Snowpiercer, so I know where this goes. Although exceedingly rare, some rail cars in America are privately owned and run. One, for example, belongs to former Amtrak CEO Wick Moorman, who refurbished his 1948 Sandy Creek observation car with bedrooms, a kitchen, and a lounge, effectively making it an RV that's worse because it can only travel in one direction when the rail company feels like letting him. Another, an old Pullman sleeper car, belongs to the president of the American Association of Private Railroad Car Owners, which guess that tracks. The members of which join rail cars together once a year for an all-private cross-country trip. Like, I knew stuff like this probably happened, but just to hear it written down is like, people have too much money.
Dude.
Otherwise, private rail cars are just hooked onto public trains headed in the desired direction. It's kind of like train hopping, but legal, boring, and altogether more expensive. And for anyone curious about the price, it's about $4 per mile plus storage of $1,800 per month. Which, for me as a Brit, it's probably cheaper than just getting a train. Like, this is the thing. Like, for me, like, you know, I can do that right now, just as an idea, because like, people don't believe how much trains cost in the UK. So I've got an app, because I have to travel a lot for work and stuff, So I'm in Sheffield right now, a central hub, like you can get a train pretty much anywhere you want to go. Let's say I've got a plane and I've got to go to London, shall we? So Sheffield. So if I wanted to get to London today, I can't, despite the fact it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon, because the trains are on strike. So if I wanted to go tomorrow and I wanted to get there, it would cost me £105 British pounds. I have friends who work in London. I do not envy them. Since 2018, Amtrak has actively discouraged the niche mode of travel, saying it causes, and I quote, significant operational distractions and delays paying customers on scheduled services. No shit. The solution, of course, is just to own your own train. Enter the $350 million G-Train, which in theory lets you ride the rails anywhere in the world. This 1,300-foot locomotive, purpose-built as opposed to refurbished, has a total of 14 cars, some with fold-out wings for outdoor dining. There's also space on board for your cars and motorbikes and your boats. Best of all, the shell is made of technical glass, which can be switched from transparent to opaque at the push of a button, depending on whether you want to take in your sights or hide your depravity and debauchery as you engage in some Snowpiercer style shenanigans inside. Because that's what it's going to be. It's going to be Snowpiercer. It's just going to be Snowpiercer. Also, like, shout outs to that amazing Chris Evans interview where they ask him about Snowpiercer and he's like, yeah, I really didn't get the, like, you know, the political angle they were going for with Snowpiercer until they explained it to me. And anyone who's seen Snowpiercer is probably just like, Chris, we love you as Captain America, but this is a film where they feed people protein blocks made of cockroaches. And the further along the train you go, the richer people get and the more removed they are from the problems experienced and felt by the people at the bottom of the train. It's not that complex. Moving on, number 2. The luxury submarine. When it comes to privacy, the rich like to get nautical because there's less poor people at sea. From seasteading to sex islands, the ocean's where it's at. Of course, in the age of spy satellites, a surface yacht won't cut it. A luxury submarine would be much better. Capable of sailing the world, Captain Nemo style, but you know, as an evil scumbag fat cat, the 926-foot Migaloo M7 is almost twice the length of the Russian Typhoon, the world's largest nuclear submarine. Its diesel-electric engines have a range of 1,000 miles between fueling, and it can dive to a depth of 1,500 feet. And you know what? I'm all on board with putting more rich people on submarines built by the lowest bidder. I have no issue with this. Like, more rich, just get on these submarines. It's cool. Like, do it. Go on, just all go out into the ocean. Just all together. Dive all the way down. There's no laws at the bottom of the ocean. There's also no one coming to rescue you. Anyway, there's no expense spared on board. The M7 has everything from helipads to swimming pools, hangar bays to viewing rooms. Yes, the thing designed to go underwater has big pools of water within it. What could possibly go wrong? It also comes with numerous tenders, including a hot air balloon, SUVs, and an amphibious limousine. You know, the one we just talked about. That's right, if you buy this, you get a free amphibious submarine as standard, as well as mini-subs for exploring ruins, shipwrecks and caverns. Again, what could possibly go wrong? The makers don't specify the price, but it's estimated to be around $2.3 billion, which according to Migaloo CEO Christian Gumpold would make it, and I quote, the most expensive private object ever sold. Would is the operative word in that sentence there, because the submarine technically hasn't been built yet, as the builders are waiting for someone to buy it. What's stopping them, you ask? Well, among other things, it's the possible safety concerns. Fair. These are uncharted waters in every sense of the term. There's also the cost of operation, which would include a crew and regular maintenance. No, they don't need that. Like, just buy it. Again, what's the worst that could happen? Buy it. Buy it. Moving on. Number 1, the nuclear-powered megajet, parentheses concept. Although conceived as a flying cruise ship, it's easy to imagine Tony Holmston's nuclear-powered AI-controlled megajet nicknamed Flytanic, because it's not like fate's gonna have a sense of humour, right? In the hands of a megalomaniac. Think Dr. Robotnik's flying wing fortress in the Sonic games. Capable of cruising for years at a time, the Studio Ghibli-inspired behemoth resembles a jumbo jet on steroids, complete with a vast central dome and tail section viewing deck. Moving on to amenities, there's space on board for some 5,000 guests. And let's be honest, they're not going to be guests, they're going to be mercenaries. This is the SHIELD helicarrier. Someone's trying to build the SHIELD helicarrier and no one's stopping them. It would also have everything you might expect of a cruise ship: swimming pools, restaurants, theatres, sports and medical facilities, so on and so forth. And it's also so big that regular aircraft could land on top without trouble. They're building the SHIELD helicarrier. Why are you not stopping them? Although it's just a concept for now, all the megajet really needs is a small enough nuclear reactor to power it. And according to Hashem Al-Khalil, who researched and animated Holmstone's vision, this could be within reach in the next 2 decades. Do not let them build the SHIELD helicarrier. Like, don't let someone build the SHIELD helicarrier and give it to Elon Musk. It's not going to end well. Don't do it. But thank you for everyone for watching at home. I hope you enjoyed this video. I certainly enjoyed reading it for you. And as mentioned at the start, this video is based on a script submitted to us by Mr. Ed Hatchett. Find their socials below if they provided them for us. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like. If you've got any comments about it, leave a comment. If you want us to cover anything else, leave a comment about that. If you want to just make fun of my last name or the fact I'm wearing a Christmas jumper in whenever this video goes out, you can also do that. But otherwise, you know, just subscribe to the channel if you want to see more. Subscribe to Biographics and Geographics. If you'd also like to see me presenting, though, I was going to make fun of my own presenting style then, but the guys in the comments are roasting me enough. But either way, thank you very much for tuning in, and as always, have the day you all deserve. Can't believe some rich knobheads building a SHIELD helicarrier.